Now, and I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Board of Adjustment, and we'll begin with a few introductory comments. As said before, please make sure you get your cell phones turned off. The Commission is going to first meet as the Board of Adjustment to consider item 1 and the approval of minutes of the March 23rd, 2015 meeting, and item 2, which is a request for a variance. After item 2, the Board will reconvene as the Planning Commission, and action taken on the variance may be appealed to the Circuit Court in a manner and form as provided in the statutes of the state of South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the March 23rd meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2, and I forget who's got the staff report. Okay. Scott?
Yep. Good evening, Scott Anderson, County Planning. Tonight, we have one item for the Board of Adjustment. It is variance 15-04. This is to reduce the front yard setback from 50 feet to 9 feet on property that is located at 2012 South Split Rock Boulevard. This is approximately half a mile south of Brandon. You may be familiar with this property. It was at one time called Huset Speedway. Now it's called the Badlands Motor Speedway. The applicant is requesting to reduce the front yard setback along the highway from 50 feet to 9 feet, and he is proposing to demolish an existing building and build a new building basically at the same location as the previous building and not increasing the encroachment any more than the existing 9 feet. Well, let me explain what the building is. The new building will consist of handicap accessible bathrooms, storage, concessions for the public that are attending the Speedway, and 18 guest suites. And if you go through your packet, you'll notice that there's a schematic of what the building is going to look like and a site plan. I went to the property on November 9th and conducted a site visit. You are all probably familiar with this. It's located south of Brandon. And I did discuss with the applicant whether they had met with the South Dakota Department of Transportation, because this is along a state highway, and they have had discussion with the DOT and have indicated to me that DOT is okay with the request, provided that they're not encroaching any further into the setback. And so I wanted to make sure I passed that along to you. As you're aware, there are several criteria for which a variance needs to be considered or meted against, and I'll go over those for you. Primarily 5. And the first one is that there are specific circumstances or conditions such as exceptional narrowness, topography, or siting of the lot that exists. And when I reviewed this property, I think that there is a very unique geographic setting. This property is sandwiched between South Dakota Highway 11 and Split Rock Creek. Much of the property is located within a FEMA-designated floodplain, and there's a steep embankment that falls off from the highway. And while this lends itself well to observing the speedway, it also really constricts where you can develop on the property because of the floodplain and because of the slope of the property. Number 2, that the variance does not grant a use which is otherwise excluded in that particular district or diminishes or impairs the property values in the area. The proposed use is a legal nonconforming use within the A1 district. The existing business has been at this particular site for more than 40 years, and it has not deterred growth from occurring in the general vicinity. Number 3, the third area that we are to consider is, does this request, are there specific circumstances or existing conditions which strict application of the zoning ordinance would constitute an unwarranted hardship? And strict adherence to the zoning ordinance would be, in my opinion, would constitute a hardship. The reduced setback would allow for the more useful, a more useful a more purposeful use of the property and to allow development to occur in such a way that it will keep it out of the floodplain, which we don't want development occurring within the floodplain. Number 4, that granting a variance is not contrary to the public interest and it is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. The proposed building and subsequent need for a reduced setback does not harm the public. Actually, the new proposed building will provide bathrooms and will meet all of the ADA requirements and will be safer for the public to use. Furthermore, the staff finds that the reduced setback would be in harmony with the general purpose and the intent of the zoning ordinance by providing the enhanced services to the public which are needed. And number 5, that because of circumstances or conditions, there is no possibility that the property can be developed in strict conformance with the provision of the zoning ordinance, and that authorization of the variance is therefore necessary to enable reasonable use of the property. And I believe that due to the steepness of the lot, the location of the highway, and the past expansions of the right-of-way, because as we know, Highway 11, the right-of-way has gotten wider and wider as DOT has acquired additional right-of-way. This property faces significant building restrictions. Strict conformity with the setback requirements would remove all of the buildings along the upper level and some of the bleachers that are currently used by the business. The reduced setback has been established for more than 20 years and has not hindered the traveling public along Highway 11. A reduced setback variance is needed to allow the public access to functioning restrooms that are safe and meet all of today's building standards and safety codes. So with that in mind, staff is recommending approval of the variance request 15-4 to reduce the front yard setback, which is along the west property line, from 50 feet to 9 feet. And I'll go over just quickly a few pictures to show you the building that's being demolished and the new building that would be constructed. So this is an aerial photography, and you can see the this is the building that is going to be demolished, and I will show you the pictures that I took. Here's the site plan, which shows this is the new proposed building right here. This is the second and third floor, shows the site plan, shows the guest suites and the storage and concessions. This is what the front and back will look like. This is standing on sort of on the south property and looking along this fence, which is close to being the property line, and you can see where the existing buildings are now. And this is the back of the building, and as you can see, it I would say is in need of some attention. So a new building is certainly warranted and will be an improvement for that property. This is the front of the building. This is sort of looking, I'm on the south side, looking at the east portion of the building. You can see the bleachers are sort of to the right below it there. Once again, you can see this is basically this fence is close to or on the property line, and you can see how close that building is now to the property line. And this is the front of the building. The applicant has been making some improvements to the bleachers. Once again, this sort of gives you an idea. I'm standing a little bit closer now looking at that setback. So those represent the pictures that I took. I'll take it back to the overall site plan. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. I know that the applicant is here in the audience, and should you have any questions, I'm sure they'd be glad to answer them for you.
Commissioners, any questions for Scott?
I just wanted to clarify, if I may.
Yes.
The proposed building it looks like on the map like it's actually in a little bit, or part of it is from where the existing building is, or will it follow the exact same
Well,
lines?
they're going to, that's a good question. Let me show you on the photo here as I understand it. And that might be a good question just to verify with Lanny, the architect for the project. There's a little bit of a retaining wall, if I can get to the front of it here. If I can, you can see this retaining wall, and I think they're just gonna line it up with that existing retaining wall. Yeah. So they're gonna use this existing retaining wall, and so it'll line up closely. I won't say it'll be exactly in the same footprint, but it'll be very close to the same location.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Sure.
Is the applicant here, and can you come forward, state your name and address, and tell us about your project?
Good evening. Lanny Oranger with Innovative Design, 2700 West 3rd Street, Suite 3, Sioux Falls. Scott did a very good job of explaining what the intentions are out at the racetrack. To specifically answer your question, Becky, the west side, and it's kind of northwest, but the west side of the building will essentially be aligned with the existing west side of the building. The new building, so that we can accommodate the new accessible toilet rooms and so on, is slightly deeper in dimension. So it'll be built closer to the racetrack versus closer to the highway, because it has to be a little bit wider. Really, the main reason for putting this building up is really the fact that the toilet rooms that are out there, if anybody's attended the races in the past few years, the ones that are on the upper level, the women have had to use porta potties for a number of years, and the men's facility is just, it's not satisfactory for really anybody's use. And that's, I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying that. So really, this is more of a life safety and a health issue as much as it is an improvement to the racetrack.
Thank you.
Questions for Lanny? Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this matter? If so, please come forward, state your name and address. Okay. Not see anyone, commissioners, what's your wishes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you know, anything that's been around for 40 years or even 60 years is probably in need of some upgrading and improvement. And I'm really happy to hear about steps to resolve ADA issues. And so I plan to support this.
Good.
Making a motion to approve the variance.
I'll second that.
And a motion and second to approve the variance. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, John.
I also like to see people investing money.
Okay, good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, and motion carries. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Planning Commission.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, got a motion, yeah. Right, we're, formally, we need to adjourn the,
Motion to adjourn.
second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, the